The BBC London with me, Sonia Jessup. Coming up on the programme. Another amber heat health warning comes into effect tomorrow, and Londoners are warned that if the dry weather continues, we could have more restrictions on water use.
There's an urban heat island with lots of dark man-made surfaces that tend to soak up heat. Heat is an even bigger problem for London than many other places in the UK.
Also on the programme. More on the row between City Hall and Westminster Council over the future of pubs in Soho. City Hall says draft proposals to curb drinking while standing up will damage London's nightlife.
In 48 hours, it's the partial eclipse of the sun, and I'll be telling you why you don't look at it wearing these, but you might want to use one of these.
It's crazy in here.
And we drop in on the former TV chef turned artist who is living inside her own colourful installation in East London. Hello there. Londoners are facing another amber heat health alert tomorrow, starting from 9 a.m. and lasting till Friday evening. The Met Office is expecting temperatures to climb into the mid-30s later in the week, with the heat peaking on Thursday. Well, let's speak to Matt Graveling, who's on Parliament Hill tonight. Matt, it's been very dry for a while now, hasn't it?
Yes, good evening, Sonia. Dry and hot, two words we've been hearing all the time here in London. Of course, not so hot today. 27 degrees was the peak, but it's going to ramp up on Wednesday and Thursday, looking like 35 degrees. And just look at how dry and yellow the grass is behind me. And if you want more proof about how dry it is, have a little look at this video sent in by Jimmy O'Keefe. This is a video that he took in Greenwich Park yesterday, and it shows a dust devil, Sonia, forming on hot days and visible due to the dust that it picks up and swirls around. And if we also take a look at some aerial pictures, you can just see how dry and yellow the London landscape is. It remains in drought along with Hertfordshire and the Thames Valley, and England reservoir storage is at 69%. This is around 11% lower than we'd expect it to be at this time of year. Hosepipe bans are said to be working, with some areas seeing their water use down by about 9%. But of course, if it remains dry, those restrictions on our water usage may be tightened even further. But of course, the dry ground has other problems as well. We look at the risk of wildfires and also the impact that it's having on farmers. Just last week, I went to a farm in southwest London who have cows, and they said that they feed their cattle grass, but they were worried about what they were going to be feeding them. A little bit earlier, I spoke to Bob Ward. He is a climate change academic at the London School of Economics, about the impact that the heat is going to have on the city.
It's likely to be the warmest summer on record after last year, which was the warmest summer on record, is a sign that there is a clear trend here towards hotter summers. That is driven by climate change. It means that things will get worse until the world gets to net zero emissions of greenhouse gases. That's probably not going to happen before 2050, which means for the next 25 years, I'm afraid things are going to get worse, and we're just going to have to learn to be better prepared to deal with these periods of exceptional heat. And London, of course, is more exposed to this because as an urban heat island with lots of dark man-made surfaces that tend to soak up heat, heat is an even bigger problem for London than many other places in the UK.
So let's talk about the heat health alert. It's due to be upgraded to amber from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning all the way through till 9 p.m. on Friday. Now, it's said that the heat will cause significant impact for health services and significantly impact those 65 years and over, or those with a health condition. But let's also talk about rain, shall we, Sonia? There's none forecast for the rest of this week. There's a possibility on Sunday of some coming in from the Atlantic, but that's not looking to be too heavy. And as we look at the forecast going forward, of course, it can be unpredictable, but it looks like the rest of this month is going to have a very, very high humidity, high pressure, and very dry.
OK, Matt, thank you for that update. Well, our environment correspondent, Tom Edwards, joins me now. And Tom, all of this bringing the water companies into the spotlight.
Yeah, we've got hosepipe bans and we've got drought, as you heard there. But infrastructure-wise, we also seem to be getting a lot of burst water mains, and viewers are sending us pictures of them. You'll be able to see them on your screen now. This is a burst water main in Ilford. Caused real problems because people had to queue up and get water from the local supermarket. Caused a lot of gridlock in that area. We've also had another burst water main in Richmond as well, and then Chessington World of Adventure has been shut today after a leak in Chessington High Street. The good news is, if you were planning to go there, it reopens tomorrow, but it hasn't been confirmed. But what happens during drought and extreme heat and all these heat waves, it can cause the London clay to dry out and shift, and that cracks the water mains. The criticism is Thames Water hasn't invested enough in its infrastructure. Thames Water says it's investing a record amount of 20 billion, but it brings the focus onto the water companies.
Yeah, and more focus on Thames Water too, because another story today about executive pay.
Yeah, you might have heard it earlier. Thames Water again in the news this morning over the payment of £1 million signing on fee for their finance boss. It's caused absolute outrage amongst campaigners. They've got £20 billion of debt, and it again brings up all these questions around the future structure of Thames Water, regulation, who owns it, should it be nationalised. But this is what happens when you get a drought. It brings the focus, the intense focus, onto the water companies and their record.
OK, Tom, thank you. Well, do stay with us. Lots more to come, including...
In 48 hours, it's the partial eclipse of the sun, and I'll be telling you why you don't look at it wearing these, but you might want to use one of these.
But first, more on the row between City Hall and Westminster Council over the future of pubs in Soho, and specifically plans to potentially limit the number of people drinking alcohol while standing up. The council says its draft proposals are pro-business and aimed at discouraging visitors from getting too drunk. City Hall says it will damage Soho. Here's our political editor, Carl Mercer.
It's busy on a summer morning as tourists and locals mingle in the heart of Soho. But as they go happily about their business, the politics of this place is a lot less friendly. Westminster Council has issued new licensing guidelines that the Mayor of London's team say will damage the area and its nightlife. The council have accused him of political manoeuvrings.
One rump medium well, one broccoli, one courgette, straight down.
Businesses, meanwhile, are getting on with the day job. Jack Goddick has run this restaurant in Soho for the last 5 years and says they have enough to be getting on with without a political row over the area.
There's so many external factors that affect us. We're going into our fourth heat wave, tube strikes, the World Cup, all of these things affect us disproportionately compared to other sectors. But then when you've got local government and national government piling the difficulties on top of that, it's it just makes you feel pretty demotivated, disheartened, and frustrated.
Part of the row has revolved around something they've been doing here for years, drinking standing up. City Hall says Westminster wants to move away from it. The council says that's not the full story.
Not sure I necessarily would call it bullying. I don't feel bullied. I feel exhausted by having to explain that a policy that was put forward as being true isn't true, never has been, and it's been an enormous waste of time of public money as a result of the Mayor's political manoeuvrings.
We really want to see less blanket restrictions in that policy. We want to see businesses able to apply for licences and be considered on their individual merits on a case-by-case basis.
Westminster say City Hall need to do more to help businesses in Soho.
2 wards of West End and St James account for 26% of all small crime in the entirety of London. And it's those kind of issues that mean that we have to have some kind of regulation of the venues. It's also true that it's become harder and harder to get to the West End and get home again if you wanted to have a night out. Mayor Khan keeps cutting the night buses and won't bring in a late night tube service on Thursdays.
Are you worried the way that Westminster have framed their policy will harm businesses in Soho?
We are. We're worried that the policy is overly restricted. restrictive, and it will ultimately harm businesses. We want to see the spirit of the policy shifted to be pro-business, pro-nightlife, pro-London.
Under new powers given to the Mayor, Westminster now have to respond to his criticism of their licensing plans. Both sides maintain they have the best interests of Soho at heart. Commerce at BBC London.
Well, Carl joins me now. So is it stalemate then between City Hall and the City of Westminster?
I don't think it's the end of the war of words. It's been going on since sort of the tail end of last week, and it seems to have ramped up a little bit over the weekend, and there's clearly a bit of antagonism, I think, between the two sides. Remember, Westminster used to be a Labour council until May's elections. It's now run by the Conservatives, and they don't agree with City Hall, frankly, over this. So it's a bit of flexing of muscles over this new law that's been brought in, which gives the Mayor the right to have a look at all the licensing plans that local authorities come out with. I think it's probably unfortunate that the first of these licensing plans that's come forward is in Westminster, which is it's the centre of town. It's the biggest heart of the nighttime economy in London. So a lot to play for on both sides. So I think both of them flexing their muscles a bit over this one.
This isn't the only row, is it, over the West End? Because what's the latest on the Mayor's plan for Oxford Street?
Yeah, and this goes back, doesn't it, as well, to the election. You'll remember the Mayor clearly set out he wants to pedestrianise Oxford Street. The last Labour council in Westminster didn't agree with that plan, although did sign up somewhat reluctantly and said, look, we'll try and play ball nicely. Today, the Oxford Street Development Corporation, which is in charge of that, takes control of planning of that end of Oxford Street up to Marble Arch, which is going to be pedestrianised. The current Westminster Council, as well as not liking what the Mayor's doing in Soho, really don't like the plans for Oxford Street pedestrianisation either, but they will lose control of planning from that area now as well.
Right, OK. Thank you, Carl,
More
for
fun
that
ahead.
update. Indeed. Time for a quick look at some other news now. A Ferrari valued at about £3.7 million was among 90 vehicles seized by police over the weekend in an operation to tackle antisocial driving in central London. The Met said the driver held only a provisional licence and had no insurance. There's been severe disruption to trains between Heathrow and central London all day because of a water leak in a tunnel. There was also disruption to trains between London and Gatwick because of an overnight fire next to the tracks at Purley. Burial space across the capital could run out in 15 years, according to an audit by City Hall. 17 local authorities could no longer have space by the year 2040, while the boroughs of Camden, Hackney and Tower Hamlets already have none as it stands. And there are more stories and the latest updates on your local BBC News website and on the BBC News app. A teenager from London has died after being pulled from the water at Camber Sands yesterday evening. Emergency services were called to the beach in East Sussex after reports that 3 people had got into difficulty. A 16-year-old boy and 24-year-old man managed to get out, but an 18-year-old died at the scene. Sarah Smith reports.
Beach patrols on Camber Sands this afternoon, scanning the water for anyone who might be getting into trouble. But yesterday evening there were no lifeguards, and the first clue anything was wrong was the sound of someone screaming for help. Lorraine works at the cafe on the beach.
It was pretty awful. There was a lot of screaming to begin with. It was like something out of a horror movie. It's something that we all feel as Camber residents, and yeah, I think it's shaken us all today.
This was the scene from the lifeboat called out to join the search. Helicopter, paramedics and the Coast Guard on the sand. The pet-level independent rescue boat crew scanning the water. They'd been called out at 6:30 p.m. and had launched within 15 minutes.
We understood it was a male in the water crying for help. As soon as we got down to the mouth of Rye Bay, the conditions changed a bit because there's an incoming tide and there's a southeasterly wind. So it's probably hitting about a force 4 down there. So the conditions for the actual swimmer would have been pretty difficult, I would have thought.
Within half an hour, the message came through. A body had been washed onto the shore and CPR was underway. An 18-year-old was pronounced dead a short time later. Those with him, a 16 and a 24-year-old, had managed to get to safety. Lifeboatman Steve Hill described the conditions which can occur at Camber.
you do get quite a few sandbanks. And so it looks like there's a larger, higher area of sand. And then as the tide comes in, the water comes round and actually cuts you off while you're standing on dry sand. Some of these gullies can be up to 4 to 5 foot deep. And if you try and swim across those, the current going through it can be so strong that it's like a rip tide.
In 2016, 7 people died in the sea off Camber Sands. It was after that the beach patrols started, but they finish at 6 p.m, and this latest emergency happened shortly after that. It's 5 years since Gareth Jones died after going into the sea off Hove to rescue the family dog. His son has campaigned since then over water safety.
My immediate reaction is one of deep sadness. It brings me back to hearing the news of what happened to my dad and having huge sympathy with the family, because these are often young men, or young people, and it's all so preventable.
The beach was busy again today, but for one family, a day out by the sea has ended in the worst possible way. Sarah Smith, BBC London, Camber Sands.
Well, still to come on the programme.
The temperatures are climbing once again for London this week. By Thursday, they could be in the mid-30s. I'll have all the details.
Now, having a premature baby being looked after in neonatal intensive care can be an incredibly anxious and stressful experience for parents. Now, King's College Hospital are launching a new 3D digital interactive tour of its unit online to try to help parents become more familiar with it. King's is one of the first hospitals in London to offer such a service, as Wendy Hurrell explains.
3D technology trying to alleviate anxiety for parents of poorly newborn babies.
Neonatal intensive care is a place that nobody knows anything about until they get to that moment that their baby's admitted. Terribly frightening, it's the unknown.
In the special care unit, little Leo has just moved in with his twin. They were born prematurely 5 weeks ago.
So they're doing well, they're progressing?
Yeah, they're doing well, they're progressing. He had surgery on day 8 of life and was in the intensive care unit for a little bit longer than his sister Sophia. He's sort of stepped up, catching up with her, and now they're together.
When you're in that stressful situation before they were born, I think any kind of preparation you can do is useful.
There's so much information to take in, but just having all of that explained to you and somewhere that you can revisit that in your own time is really helpful. So I think it's a great piece of software.
Funded by the charity Ickle Pickles, floor 4 of King's College Hospital has been mapped in 360 to help parents prepare and demystify medical jargon.
We are a specialist neonatal intensive care unit. We look after babies who are born extremely prematurely, and also those babies who need specialist care in the form of surgery or neurosurgery. Neonatal intensive care unit is full of equipment and it is quite overwhelming for the families. This tour actually, there's a tag attached to each of the piece of equipment so they can look up and what it is and it explains. So I think that's also additional help.
Many babies, mums and dads can spend months in the unit.
You've got intensive care where the most sick babies are cared for. The second step would be, as they get better, is to move into HDU, which is our high dependency area, and that cares for babies who have sort of got a little bit stronger, and then after that babies will progress into the special care area, and special care is a lovely space to be. It's where our babies sort of mature, if you like, and the parents really get engaged in the care and take on all that parenting responsibility in preparation for going home.
This is one of the first places in London, along with Great Ormond Street and Croydon, to have a 3D tour, which will be rolled out to other hospitals across the capital. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Now, with all this hot weather, you may be feeling you've seen a little too much of the sun recently, but this week there is a chance for Londoners to witness a rare partial solar eclipse. It's taking place on Wednesday evening, and one of the best places to watch it is apparently at Greenwich Park, where we can join Asad now. Asad, tell us more.
Sonia, people will be travelling for miles around to see the partial solar eclipse from here, and who can blame them? Look at the view you get from London every single day of the year. On top of that, to my right, you have the Royal Observatory, which of course is home to global time and astrology. So what exactly is happening? What's happening in 48 hours time is that the moon is going to come between the Earth and the Sun. At 1.90% of the Sun from London, as you see it, will be blocked out. You'll know when it's happening because the temperature's going to start to drop, it'll start to get darker, and you might notice that birds stop chirping as they start to think it's nightfall. Now, the last time something like this happened was back in 1999. It was a cloudy day then, I remember it very well, but this Wednesday is looking like a very different story, so we should get some good sightings on Wednesday. But this is the important bit you need to take note of. Do not, under any circumstance, look at the eclipse with the naked eye. Do not look at it wearing sunglasses. Do not look at it through binoculars, a telescope or anything else. It will burn your eyes. It is very likely that it will cause permanent damage. Don't take my word for it. It's what NASA are saying. It's what the Royal Observatory is saying here. It's what this astronomer is saying.
Number one rule about eclipses is do not look directly at them. It will damage your eyes. So you need either proper eclipse glasses, which you can buy online, or you can even make a simple eclipse viewer yourself using just 2 pieces of card and a pin. And you just poke a small pinhole in one. Then what you do is you need to line yourself up so that the sun is roughly at your back, and sort of figure out where you want to hold the card that has the pinhole in it. Then you put the other card just on the ground so that you can see the projection of the sun onto that little piece of card there.
Yeah, okay, so in summary, the important bits: do not use sunglasses to look at the eclipse. Do not, whatever you do, look with the naked eye. Use special eclipse viewers or certified glasses. If you haven't already ordered them, make sure they come by Wednesday. I was having a look before I came, and there's some which they say, oh, it'll arrive by Friday. No use to you whatsoever. And don't look, or what you could do is look indirectly through the piece of card and paper like the lady just said, the astronomer, or use one of these. It's a kitchen colander. Watch this. You have your back to the sun. You put the colander over a piece of paper, and while you look at those holes, many of them, you'll see an eclipse taking place when the time comes through every single one of them. So you can see multiple eclipses through one colander. Like I say, Kate's here with a full weather forecast, and she'll tell you just how clear it's looking for Wednesday. Do enjoy it. Do please do it safely. Sonia.
Asad, really exciting stuff and great tip there too. Thank you. What an extraordinary home. I love that. Kate's here with the weather. I imagine most of us will be focusing on how to keep our homes cool over the next few days, really.
Yeah, the temperature, Sonia, is rising quite dramatically actually as we head towards Thursday. That's when we're likely to reach our peak in temperatures. Today it's felt a little bit cooler than it did across the weekend, and that's thanks to a cold front which earlier just brought a little bit of cloud. Sadly, there was no rain on the cold front, but it just meant the temperature a degree or two lower. This was out along the Essex coast as well. Temperatures over the next couple of days, if you are looking for it to be a bit cooler over in the east, is probably your best bet. The high pressure bringing the conditions is drifting eastwards as it does around the outside. The hotter air is going to come up from the continent. We're probably going to reach our peak on Thursday. Now this is overnight tonight. You can see the wind already starting to come more from the east. It's been coming from the north for today. Overnight temperatures 12 to 15, still reasonable, but they are going to get warmer through the next couple of days. For Tuesday, bright start tomorrow morning, plenty of sunshine, very little in the way of cloud. It is going to be cooler out in the east, but not a huge amount. Temperatures further west inland, mid to high 20s tomorrow. Then overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, nothing really changes. The high pressure continues to drift. The minimum temperature overnight still widely in double figures. It is sneaking up though. Clear skies between 12 and 15 Celsius. Now for Wednesday itself, nothing really changes. It's blue sky, it's sunshine, high pressure still with us. It is dry, the wind reasonably light, but the temperature is getting warmer widely on Wednesday, low 30s, 30 to 33 Celsius potentially. And then of course, as we've just heard Asad talking about, it is the eclipse for the evening, and it's good news. Of course, if you've got your glasses or other means of looking at it, we have largely clear skies, so it should here in the southeast be pretty perfect conditions. But it's not just the eclipse we're looking out for. Once the sun sets, The Perseid meteor shower reaches its peak on Wednesday too, so we've got largely clear skies for that as well. So possibility of spotting a few shooting stars as well. But as I said, as we head into Thursday, those temperatures 36 Celsius possibly, and a really warm night into Friday. Sonia.
A really warm night, I'm sure. Kate, thank you. And that's all from me. Kasa Assad will be here later with our 10:30 programme. But for all the latest on the heat and health alerts for London, take a look at the BBC News website. And there's lots more local news, of course, on our London page too. But for now, from all of us here, do have a very good evening. Bye-bye.